What's up, everybody? Another edition of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. Let me just scoot my chair over. It's a very special edition of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. In case, just getting used to watching me on YouTube, I really want to try and grow the YouTube channel to the best of my ability, make it bigger, make it better, and bring new live content to all of the Facebook people out there, all the YouTube people out there, all the Twitter people out there. And one of the most popular segments that I've ever done on this show, which I've done a lot of stuff between MMA, between the NFL, between covering the Bills, the Super Bowl shows, the draft shows. Really, the past 3 years, there's been a lot of big moments in the show. But last year, I came up with an idea to not just put out a mock draft. That's what everybody does. Everybody puts out a mock draft. I like to be as different as I can possibly be from other podcasts and other people out there, just so that way my show has some sort of originality. And one of the ideas that I came up with was the 32 picks in 32 days segment, where each week I would go through 3 teams, and pick who I think they should pick in this draft. So far, I did the podcast on the audio side of things on Spreaker.com for a long time, and I'm still going to continue to do that. I'm still going to share this on Spreaker. I'm still going to continue to grow it that way. And I think that's definitely, most definitely a good thing. Excuse me as I adjust this here. That's a great thing. It's great to do that. It's great to have other avenues in which I can get the show out there on a daily, consistent basis. It's also great to cover other teams outside of the Bills and talk about other teams outside of the Buffalo Bills, which I can get a little bit tired of, to be honest. I do get a little burned out in talking about just one team. I like to, keep things moving. And right now on the Speaker side of things, we are already through the first 9 picks in the 2018 NFL Draft, and I have my mock draft listed here. And this was actually finished before the New England Brandon Cooks trade. So obviously things are gonna change a little bit here. With that trade, the Patriots now have the 23rd overall pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, 1 pick after Buffalo. So that can shake some things up here for the Bills. For all the Bills fans that are tuning in, it potentially could shake things up. But right now we're on 10, 11, and 12, which is Buffalo's first-round pick in the 2018 NFL Draft. So I'm going to start off with the Oakland Raiders, who got the 10th overall selection due to a coin flip loss versus the San Francisco 49ers. Both teams finished with the same record. Tiebreaker was a tiebreaker, so the luck of the draw was, whoever wins the coin toss. Whoever won the coin toss was going to get the 9th pick. San Fran. They got the 9th pick. To take everybody through who I already think is going to be picked, I have in my mock draft, based on my beliefs, based on who I would go these picks for these teams, Cleveland taking Saquon Barkley, the New York Giants taking Bradley Chubb, the New York Jets taking Josh Rosen, the Cleveland Browns then taking Sam Darnold, Denver Broncos taking quarterback Baker Mayfield, the Indianapolis Colts taking guard Quentin Nelson, Tampa Bay taking Minkah Fitzpatrick, Chicago taking linebacker from Virginia Tech Tremaine Edmonds, San Francisco taking safety out of Florida State Derwin James. So that leaves me with the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders are a very interesting team, a team that I would consider a wild card for this draft based on the fact they have John Gruden back in the building. Who knows essentially what direction they're going to go in. Based on the fact that Gruden hasn't been in the NFL in quite some time, hasn't coached for the Oakland Raiders in almost 2 decades. So there's a huge gap here between Gruden and, the amount of time that it's been since he's been coaching in the NFL. A lot has changed in the National Football League, but I do believe that John Gruden was the perfect fit, obviously, for the Raiders at this point. And I obviously think that it was a great move to have him back in the building for the Raiders. But this means that they are a wild card team. Wild card meaning that I don't know which direction they could potentially go in for this draft. There's no telling. But if I know one thing about the Oakland Raiders is that despite the fact they have an offensive-minded coach in John Gruden, he understands how important it is to have a stud defense in the National Football League. And the Raiders have tried to build up their defense as much as they can, but it just hasn't worked. And there's a lot of integral parts to building up a defense the right way, provided that the team has the right set amount of chemistry with the players that they already have. And I think Oakland does need a defensive player, a defensive quote-unquote difference maker that can make their team that much better. Enter in Georgia linebacker Roquan Smith. This is a player that I believe should go inside the top 12, should go inside the top 15 at the latest. The reason why I say that is because he's in high demand. There's a lot of teams looking at him, seeing him as a future NFL linebacker stalwart, starter, whether it be on the inside or on the outside. He was a huge difference maker for Georgia. He's a nasty tackler. He makes things happen. And I think that was a very interesting cog in their lineup for Georgia, for the Georgia Bulldogs, that led them to a national championship appearance. Not a national championship victory. There were some moments in that game where I thought he was so-so, could have done a lot better, could have been a lot worse. But moments indeed that I think that throughout the season at least, where he was very well versed. He did his thing. He did what he needed to do week to week during the season that led Georgia to becoming the team that they were this year. TTSP mug plug. Get him on teespring.com. So Roquan Smith is the guy that I think Oakland should go with. And I think that because Derwin James is off the board. Derwin James is a guy that I thought was the best, safety in this draft. And Roquan Smith, I think, makes the next best pick there for the Raiders. So I'm not going to go into great detail about the Raiders, just because there's not really a lot there. I mean, they have a solid offense. Their defense needs work. It's actually painfully obvious to me which direction they should go in, and that would be linebacker or secondary. And with that pick, I got them taking Roquan Smith out of Georgia, 10th overall. Take care, everybody. I'll be right back with the 11th overall pick, the Miami Dolphins. You're tuning into the Thomas Take live on YouTube.